Happy Wednesday, favorite people. Welcome to one of the most pivotal lessons of your algebra career. I know I've been saying that like every day. I'm like, you guys, this is the most important. This is the most important. Well, this is the most important, I swear. I'm just kidding. It is very important though. Today, I'm going to teach you how to factor a trinomial that's in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, we know it's a trinomial because it's got three terms, and that's just the generalized format. That's kind of like when I talk about slope-intercept form and we use y equals mx plus b with the generalized variables, same thing. So we're learning how to factor today. You will use everything that you learned yesterday as the foundation for what we do, and you guys will be factoring next year, the year after, the year after. So very, very important skill that we're looking at. So your objective is that you can factor a trinomial in the form x squared plus bx plus c. If you're wondering why this image is the background of my computer, remember a few days ago when I was like, you guys, and I was recording this video, I was like paranoid that someone was breaking in. This is what I envisioned. Like this guy busting down my door. So that's the world that I live in up here. Okay, let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday, in that hot mess of a video, we looked at number puzzles, but they're really like factor puzzles. It's kind of like a number sense thing that really helps you out for today. And let's do two of them together before we get started. We knew that when we saw something like this, we needed two numbers right here that multiplied to a negative 21 and added up to a negative 4. Now, you know that as soon as you have two numbers that multiply to a negative, that one will be positive and one will be negative. Now, ask yourself, what are the different factors of 21? So, like, I know that 21 times 1 is 21, but that wouldn't give me a sum of negative 4. What about 7 and 3, though? Okay, we know that based on absolute value, 7 and 3 are going to work, but if it needs to add up to a negative 4, you just need to ask yourself, okay, we've got 7 and 3, which one needs to be negative? And I know that it's going to have to be a negative 7 and a positive 3, because not only do those give you a product of negative 21, but when you add them up, they stay negative as a negative 4. So those would be the two factors that would work and complete the puzzle. Over here, we know that we need two factors that multiply to a positive 45, but add up to a negative 14. So what are two numbers that could multiply to a positive, but add up to a negative? And hopefully based on yesterday, you know that it's going to have to be two negative numbers, because two negative numbers multiply to a positive 45. And if you thought I was going to do the TikTok video where they're going like this, you're wrong. But did I practice it? Yes. Okay. So we know that we're going to have two negative numbers here. What are the different factors of 45? I know that 15 and 3 multiply to 45, but there's no way that I'm going to get a sum of 14 there. The only other factors that I know are 9 and 5. So I know that negative 9 times negative 5 gives me a positive 45, and I know when I add them up, I get a negative 14. So those are the two numbers that satisfy the puzzle. Here's where it comes into play. We know how to multiply two binomials and get a trinomial here because we used FOIL to do that. We did first, outside, inside, last. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're reversing the process. I'm giving you the trinomial right here. This is what I'm going to give you, and you have to factor it to two binomials. Okay, so we're taking a trinomial and we're factoring it to two binomials. That's what we're doing. We're reversing the process that we did last week. Once you understand how to do this, you're going to be able to use this to solve quadratic equations, and it's going to be life-changing for you, I promise. Okay, so here's what we got. This is a trinomial that's in the form x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, notice that your last number here is always a constant, and then you've got your middle term with x, and then this is always x squared. This is how it is factored. X plus 8 and x plus 4. How did I know to use 8 and 4? Okay, if you want to pause it and look at it, that might be a good idea, but ask yourself, how did I get 8 and how did I get 4? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. We know, hold on one second. If I'm looking at my factor puzzle, I need, move me to the other side of the screen, I need two numbers that multiply to 32 and add up to 12. Look at how those connect to your trinomial. I need two numbers that multiply to my last term and add up to my middle term. So ask yourself, what are two numbers that multiply to 32 but add up to 8? Okay, and I know, and I'm sure that you know by now, that it's going to be 8 and 4. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 plus 4 is 12. That's how I got positive 8 and positive 4. That is why we spent all yesterday doing those puzzles. When you're given a trinomial, you're going to have to find two factors that multiply to your last term and add up to your middle term. Once you have those, you just plug it into your binomials here and you're done. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you generalize what I just talked about, we know that this trinomial here is in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. That is the generalized variable format. We know that we're going to have to find two terms that multiply to c, which is just your last term, that's your constant, and add up to b, which is your middle term. Okay, this is something that we're going to be talking about for a while. Can you tell that I'm passionate about factoring trinomials? Because I am. I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. And I know that Scott can hear me in the office right now, and I guarantee he's like rolling his eyes, especially after yesterday. Okay, get your notebooks. This is one of the most important lessons that you're going to be taking notes on. So we are factoring in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. Get it ready. Get a pencil. Get paper. Go get foil if you want. Get a snack. I don't care. But tune in. Here we go. All right. When we are factoring in the form of x squared plus bx plus c, okay, we know that we're going to be starting with a trinomial and we're going to be factoring to two sets of binomials. I personally always kind of set up this like open format for myself because I know it's going to be x and x here. Then we'll have to put in like a +3 or like a -4 or whatever. We need to find two terms that multiply to c, which that's my last term, that's my regular number, and add up to b. Multiply to c, add to b. That skill is exactly what we practiced yesterday, you guys. That's all that you did, and that's why I wanted you to do it so many times. All right, so here is our first trinomial that we're going to factor. We're going to start off easy, and then we'll get a little bit more challenging. So it is x squared plus 10x plus 24. I know that I'm going to need two numbers that multiply to c, which that's my last term right here, and then add up to b. Okay, my kids last year, even at the end of the chapter when they could do this so quick, they still set up this like little diagram for themselves. And if that helps you, great. I love that. So ask yourself, all right, you need two numbers that multiply to 24 but add up to 10. Well, I know that 12 times 2 gets me to 24, but that's a sum of 14. I know that 24 times 1 gets me to 24, but that is a sum of 25. So what are the other factors that could work? And hopefully in your head, you are saying 6 and 4, because 6 times 4 gets me to 24. 6 times 4, plus 4 is equal to 10. So I've got x plus 6 and x plus 4 because they're both positive. It doesn't matter which order you put it in because multiplication is communicative. I'm going to show you this one time how to check your work, and then if you want to keep doing it, you can. I usually do it mentally, and I bet you guys can do it too. So if you're telling me that this is your final factored form, it is a good idea to check and make sure that's correct. So let's FOIL it out. So we've got x squared, and sorry, this is going to take me a while to like type it out, plus 4x plus 6x, I'm sorry, I'm annoyed for you guys, I'm sorry. And then last term, plus 24. And we know that when we combine these, we'll get 10x. And look, we're back at our original x squared plus 10x plus 24. You know that you did it right because you got your original trinomial back. So when you're factoring a trinomial, you're going to find two terms that multiply to c, add up to b. Plug them into your parentheses here, make sure that you're using your signs, and then you can quickly, now you can do it on paper, I usually do it mentally, you can mentally FOIL it out, make sure that you get your original back. Yay, you just factored your first trinomial, congratulations. Let's try again. All right, now it does get a little bit more complicated when we have subtraction signs in there, but you guys are awesome and you can do it. So what I'm going to start with right now is I'm going to plug in my diagram. I know I need two numbers that multiply to a positive 24, but add up to a negative 11. You need two numbers that multiply to a positive, but add to a negative. That is your clue right away that these guys are both going to be negative. They have to be. So then in your head, you're going to start going through your different factor pairs. All right, could 24 and 1 work? No. Could 12 and 2 work? No. Could 4 and 6 work again? No. How about 8 and 3? I know that -8 times -3 gets me to a positive 24. And when I add -8 plus -3, that keeps me at a sum of -11. You got it? Yes. All right. So it'll be x minus 8 because it's negative, x minus 3. That's it. That is your final answer. You did it. And you could FOIL it out to make sure that you get your original back. But I'm not going to waste your time on the video showing you that. Okay, here we go. We've got x squared plus 2x minus 15. I'm giving you a trinomial. I want you to factor to 2 binomials. So again, I would pause the video, give it a try, and then check with my work to make sure that you're correct. All right, so I know that they need to multiply to a -15 and add up to a positive 2. So in my head right now, I'm going through the factors of 15, and the most obvious factors that come to mind are 5 and 3. Okay, so I know it's going to be 5, and I know it's going to be 3, because 15 and 1 is not going to work. Because they multiply to a negative number, though, you know that one of those factors is going to have to be negative. So if I need it to come out to positive 2, will it be -5 or -3? It's got to be a -3 because when you add -3 plus 5, it gives us a sum of positive 2. So here are the factors that we're working with. Now, when we plug that in, we'd have x plus 5 because 5 is positive, and then x minus 3. And again, the order does not matter, you guys. It doesn't, okay? It's multiplication. 4 times 5 is the same as 5 times 4. That's totally fine. Okay, Java, thank you. Good? All right, one more problem, and then you guys are done, and you have learned one of the most important algebra lessons on the planet. Okay, so now let's think towards more high school. You might be given a problem that's asking, all right, we know that the area of a rectangle is x squared minus 2x minus 35. Using factoring, can you find the possible dimensions? Okay, let's bring some meaning to this problem. We know that we're working with a rectangle, okay, and we're talking about the area. We know that the area formula is length times width. Wow, yikes. Length times width. So essentially, you guys, we just need to factor this to 2 binomials that multiply to one another because that's like your length, that's your width. Okay, so here we are. We've got x squared minus 2x minus 35. I right away am going to go ahead and grab this open format for myself because I know that I'm going to need it. Okay, so then ask yourself, what are 2 numbers that multiply to -35? And I'm even going to just draw this in for myself. And add up to a -2. So in your head, go through the factors of 35. I know it could be 35 and 1, but that's not going to work. How about 7 and 5? Could 7 and 5 work? Now, we know that since they have to multiply to a -35, one of them is going to have to be negative. And I want them to add up to a -2. That means that my 7 will be negative and this guy will be positive. It still gives me a product of -35, and when I add them, it stays at -2. So when I plug that in my binomial, it would look like this. And the possible dimensions of that rectangle would be the quantity x minus 7 and the quantity x plus 5. You guys are awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Let me sum up for you, and then I'll talk about your assignment. When you're given a trinomial in the form x squared plus bx plus c, we know that we need to factor it to 2 binomials. We know that we always start with x and x. That's pretty easy. But to find the other 2 factors, you just need to go through those number puzzles in your head and find 2 factors that multiply to c, which is your last term, and add up to b. Just be cognizant of the positive and negative signs. All right, here's your Wednesday factoring practice assignment. I'm going to show it to you on screen right now. So it looks like this. I did the first one for you. I factored it, and you've got 2 binomials here. You just have to go through and fill out the binomials. The order does not matter, and then you need to submit. I will tell you though, be careful with 6, be careful with 11. Notice that you only have the last term and the middle term is 0, okay? If you need to rewatch the video from yesterday, there's an example in there that will help you. So for 6 and 11, You need to find two terms that multiply to the last term but add up to 0. Okay? If you need me, I am here. Be proud of yourselves because I am proud of you. Have a wonderful day and see you later.